Good evening and welcome to the Virtual College Exploration for all North and South Carolina students, sponsored by the Carolinas Association of Collegiate Registrars and Admission Officers, or CACRAO, and StriveScan. We thank you for joining us. A few housekeeping announcements before we get started. You can utilize the Q&A button on your screen to type your questions to our presenters at any time. Your camera and microphone are off, so the panelists cannot see or hear you. This is just one of many different sessions happening through this CACRAO StriveScan partnership, so we encourage you to take advantage of any and all that interest you via the CACRAO website at cacrao.org. Lastly, this presentation will be recorded and made available within about a week at that same website, cacrao.org. I'd now like to turn it over to our presenters so they can begin their session.
Good evening, and thank you all for joining us tonight. My name is Rachel Hopewell, and I am one of 4 regional recruiters on the call this evening that works for the University of Alabama here in the Carolinas. And we're each going to take a moment and introduce ourselves, and we'll start with Chelsea Marsh.
Hey y'all, I'm Chelsea Marsh. I am located in Rock Hill, South Carolina, and I cover most of the state of South Carolina for University of Alabama.
Hi everyone, I'm Russell Moore. I'm a regional recruiter for the university. I'm based in Jacksonville, Florida, but I travel frequently to the South Carolina Lowcountry, to Hilton Head and Charleston primarily.
Good evening again. My name is Rachel Hopewell, and I am based in the Triangle area, and I cover Eastern North Carolina. And for us, that's Alamance County to the coast.
Last but not least, I'm Taylor Florio. I am the other half of North Carolina, regional recruiter for the western portion. That's Guilford County to the mountains. And I'm going to get us started for today. So welcome again. We're so glad you're here. Just want to quickly remind you that you can ask questions in the Q&A box at any time, and we will get to those at the end. All right, so let's talk about Tuscaloosa. This is where the University of Alabama is located. And if you're unfamiliar with the geography of where Tuscaloosa is, we are about 45 minutes south of Birmingham, about a 3.5-hour drive from Atlanta. And depending on where you are in the Carolinas, it can be anywhere from 5 hours to 10 hours, depending on where you're located. However, let me tell you a little bit about T-Town. Tuscaloosa is what I would call a big town, but not quite a small city. It's got everything that you would want as far as Target, Walmart, grocery stores, Starbucks, Chipotle, all of the yummy food and whatnot. We are a quintessential college town. When you get to Tuscaloosa, you can very, very quickly realize that Alabama and the Crimson Tide and the pride of the school live in the city. What's really great is that campus is located very, very close to downtown Tuscaloosa. So while students obviously will live and do their schoolwork on campus, a lot of the time students are taking advantage of the city itself, whether it be getting a part-time job at Publix or going to dinner with friends at Taco Mama, or maybe it's, going down the Riverwalk for a nice stroll. So when you visit, and if you have already, you'll see very quickly the charm that the town of Tuscaloosa has to offer. All right, let's talk more about the details of campus. So as you look at this slide, you will see some facts and numbers about our campus population. We are about over 32,000 undergraduate students strong. For those of you in the Carolinas, similar to like an NC State type of environment as far as size goes, out of those 32,000 undergraduate students, over half of them are from out of state. So why we think this is important is because you all coming from North and South Carolina, you're making an investment to look out of state, you're making an investment to go away from home. And while it might seem a little scary, or maybe, you're unsure of what it'll look like, I can guarantee you that the culture that we create on campus is one that has a lot of geographical diversity. So you've got folks, as you can see, Illinois, Texas, New Jersey, all over the place, really. And a fun fact is that in almost every freshman class, just from North and South Carolina alone, we're bringing in over 200 students. So that's 200 more students that you can road trip back home with, maybe book the same flight and carpool. So know that you're not alone at UA, and UA can definitely feel like home, even though it feels a little bit farther away. Another way that Alabama can feel a little bit more tight-knit and like a small family is with our student to faculty ratio. You can see right here, it's 24-1. We pride ourselves very much on making sure that we're hiring enough faculty to keep our class sizes small and attainable so that you all do not get lost in the sauce, that you're a name on campus, that you're a face to be known, and that you are able to have a voice. So these are some things about our student body that we think are very important. Next up is freshmen. All right, you guys, this is while it's not 2020 because the census has not quite been taken for this new class, but last year we brought in a student body of freshmen with an average ACT of a 3.77, an average ACT of a 27, and we brought in 256 National Merit Scholars. That's just in the freshman class alone. So just to give you an idea of what the average student looks like at UA, please make note that we do have students that fall below these numbers and that exceed over these numbers. So if you don't fit exactly where these numbers are, know that you can absolutely be a good fit for Alabama, both academically and socially as well. I'm going to pass the baton to my colleague Russell, and he's going to talk a little bit more about the academics at UA.
All right. Let me first talk a little bit about the application process for the university. For those of you who are seniors, we are accepting applications. We have been doing so since early July, and we operate on a rolling admission basis. That is, once a student completes their application and submits their supporting documents, we will make an admission decision within about 2 to 3 weeks. This year is different from past years because of COVID, and the university administration has been monitoring closely concerns that students have had with being able to test. The lack of test availability has affected everyone across the country. So we do have some students who are able to submit an SAT or ACT score. If you have one to submit, please do so. But for those who've not been able to test yet, you can complete your application. The $40 application fee can be submitted, or we accept a fee waiver form from the National Association for College Admission Counseling. You would talk with your college counselor at school about that, and your high school transcript. Once we receive those items, at the very least, we can review a student for potentially receiving conditional admission. What that means is that UA is not test optional, but once we receive your application and your transcript and make that decision, if you're conditionally admitted, you'll have until May 1st to submit a qualifying SAT or ACT score. When students ask, how soon should I apply? I recommend you get all of your college applications done if you can by the end of October. But especially for us, it's important that you be admitted before January 15th. I recommend before the holidays at the latest, so that you will have adequate time to complete our scholarship application, which Chelsea will talk more about later. All right. Sorry that I was having a little bit of difficulty with my video there, but here you see the list of academic majors, and students often ask me if Alabama is an engineering or business university. They'll also say, what do you specialize in at Alabama? But the truth is, UA offers strong, nationally recognized degree programs across many fields of study. So whether you're interested in creativity in the fine arts, business and finance, computer science, or preparing for medical or law school, chances are UA can prepare you for what you want to do. We also have New College, which is within the College of Arts and Sciences. And for students who do not see something that's on this list, I'd be surprised if you don't see something that interests you. New College allows students to work with faculty advisors to create self-designed majors out of 2 or 3 different disciplines. We also offer a number of minors and specializations within most of these academic departments. So they're even, you can go even deeper into different subject matters and really start specializing in what you're most passionate about. You'll also see that we have on the right-hand side of the screen pre-professional programs. So students often don't realize that while you cannot major in pre-med or pre-law at colleges and universities, regardless of your major, we do have an array of services and full-time staff advisors to help students who are interested in eventually going to medical school, law school, pharmacy school, whatever it may be. We also have a digital view book that lists these majors and has other information that we're talking about this evening. But since I was not able to post that in the Q&A group, be sure to get in touch with one of us by email or to text us so that we can send you a link to that digital view book. So it'll be there for your convenience later. It's also important to note that regardless of your major, the most outstanding applicants to the university should seriously consider the Honors College. It's a great way to make the university smaller for you and to take advantage of some of the best academic opportunities that the university has to offer. You see the requirements here at this time for getting into the university honors program. I do work sometimes with students who have difficulty achieving those test scores, having a 30 on the ACT or a 1360 on the SAT. But there is another path into the Honors College. If a student earns a 3.5 GPA in their first semester of full-time study at UA, they can then join the Honors College. There are a number of benefits that you see listed here. And beyond that, there are a lot of other intangibles that you cannot, that are very hard to describe until a student is in honors or they're speaking, or unless they're speaking with currently enrolled honors students about their experiences. Community engagement is a big one. The honors students at Alabama are very active serving others who are less fortunate or doing cutting edge research, a lot of things to help our country and our society to be better. And sometimes they're doing this in Tuscaloosa or in rural Alabama or back in their hometowns across the country. One student who I worked with several years ago from South Georgia named Dana Sweeney, he was an English major. And after his freshman year, he secured an internship at the White House under the Obama administration. And now he lives in Alabama and works with the Alabama Appleseed Center for Law and Justice. So you see our young alums and other honors graduates doing amazing things in many different walks of life. Now, with a vibrant, energetic college town atmosphere that Taylor mentioned in Tuscaloosa, it's no surprise that there are also hundreds of opportunities to explore your interests outside the classroom. We have more than 600 registered student organizations in many different categories at UA. And then, of course, being an SEC university, a lot of people will think about Greek life. I tell students all the time that it's there if you're interested, but it's not required. If there are other things that you want to do instead of being involved in a fraternity or sorority, then you'll find your place and find your people at UA. But we have about 30% of our students in a given year who are involved in fraternity or sorority life. But what we're proudest of is that, as you can see from the graphic, that we consistently have UA students logging more than 1 million hours of community service in a number of places in and out of Alabama. And one of the biggest reasons, of course, that campus life is so vibrant is because UA can house almost 8,500 students on campus. Many students will ask me if you're required to live on campus your first year, and yes, we do require you to live on campus, but it is really the most convenient option and the best for you in terms of meeting new people from all around the U.S., like Taylor mentioned, taking part in all the different activities that go on in and around campus, and also for the convenience of being close to the dining halls to take advantage of the freshman meal plan. I've worked with the university for 10 years, and in that time, I've seen several new residence halls built. The university has grown. Has grown the most in the last 18 years. That's when we built many new residence halls and renovated a couple of others. There are 3 different distinct layouts or styles of housing on campus. We do have the double occupancy with community bath where 2 people share a room, and down at the end of the hall, several rooms share a community bathroom. But in the last 15 years, we've built a number of suite style residence halls where 4 people will live in a suite that has a living room and a kitchenette, 4 bedrooms that are furnished so that students have more privacy to study, and then 2 bathrooms. So only 2 people are sharing a bathroom. Likewise, John England Hall, which was just opened a year ago at the university, is a hybrid in between those 2, where 2 people share a room, but each room in that building has its own bathroom.
All right. One of my favorite things about University of Alabama is that we are a big school with big school opportunities. And Rachel and Russell, or Taylor and Russell, kind of touched on that a little bit. And one of the other ways to get involved at Alabama is by studying abroad. So we have a really awesome study abroad program. We actually have opportunities for you to study abroad in over 60 different countries, which is amazing. So pretty much anywhere you want to go, we can help get you there. You'll work with your advisor, your academic advisor, as well as a study abroad advisor to kind of find the right program and the right fit for you. And we have some different options for study abroad. If you want to go for a whole semester, you can do that during the school year. We also have opportunities for you to go over the summer. If maybe you're one of those people that, I just don't want to miss a football season at Alabama, you can certainly go study abroad in the spring or over the summer. So it's really kind of flexible, and we'll help work with you. And you can see kind of a list here of some of the top places and the top majors that people participate with study abroad. But if you want to study abroad, like I said, we can definitely help you do that. Just make sure you start having those conversations with your academic advisor sooner rather than later. Typically, study abroad would be something that you kind of get into in your junior or senior year, but it's always okay to start talking about that at the start of your freshman or sophomore year. And then I would definitely recommend checking out the website, the link here below. We have an awesome student-run study abroad blog where you can check in on students who have done prior study abroads and even students that are currently studying abroad, and they're constantly writing articles and posting pictures for you to check out and see what their experiences look like. All right, now for an exciting topic, we're going to talk about scholarships and financial aid and just the cost of college in general. So the way our scholarships work at the University of Alabama is we have a separate application for scholarship that you will fill out. So the way that you get access to that scholarship application is you need to be admitted to University of Alabama before you can apply for scholarship. So as Russell mentioned, we do rolling admission. We're constantly reviewing applications and constantly sending out decisions. So you should get a decision within 2 to 3 weeks after you apply and submit all of your materials. So because of that, I always recommend that you apply sooner rather than later. one, it just kind of alleviates the stress for you. It gets that off of your to-do list, but then it allows you access to this very important scholarship application. The deadline for the scholarship application, Russell also mentioned, is going to be January 15th of your senior year. With that, I would recommend that you apply to Alabama no later than January 1st. That's even kind of pushing it, but that should give you enough time. But again, sooner is always better than later for that scholarship application. And I want to preface all of this information about scholarships by saying that this is relevant to you if you are a senior this year, a senior in high school this year. If you're a junior or a sophomore watching this, just know that this information is subject to change from year to year, but it's always good to use kind of as a guideline, just so you can kind of gauge where you might fall next year, but just know it might look a little bit different for you. So essentially, we have a couple different types of scholarship at the university. The first one you can see here I want to talk about is our competitive merit scholarship. So you can see there's a couple different levels here, and the way we're going to determine who is eligible for these scholarships, you've got to fill out that scholarship application. So we're going to look at the scholarship application for any and all scholarships that you might be eligible for. It's kind of like a one-stop shop application. There's two parts to the application. The first part is kind of like a resume. So when you apply for admission, we don't ask you for any letters of recommendation or essays or resumes, nothing like that. So you'll want to take all of that information and save it for the scholarship application. This is where you really want to brag about yourself. We're going to ask you about your leadership skills, about any honors, about any special circumstances, if you're employed, just kind of stories and stuff like that. So you'll have the opportunity to put any and all of that information on the scholarship application. So with these competitive merit scholarships, we're going to look at that scholarship application and all the answers you gave us about your leadership skills, your choice of major, all of those type of things. And we're also going to calculate your core GPA. So these scholarships might be good for students who are applying without a test score, or maybe your test score just doesn't match the type of student you are in the classroom. And so that's where these scholarships come in. We're going to look at kind of your total package along with your core GPA. And the way we're going to determine your core GPA is we're going to take your weighted grades from your core math, science, English, social studies, and any foreign language classes you have. And that's how we're going to come up with your core GPA. So the next type of scholarship that we offer is our academic merit scholarships. So you can see here, these are based strictly on your GPA and your test scores. So these scholarships are going to be for students who do have a test score on file with us. And these right here are all what we call our auto awards. So if you meet this criteria, you are eligible for the dollar amount you see listed. So you can see these are going to start anywhere from $6,000 all the way up to $28,000 per year, which can be very helpful, especially if you are coming from out of state like all of you are. So these, again, are going to be based just on that test score and GPA, but I still would recommend that you fill out that scholarship application, because if, let's say you do fall in the category and qualify for that $6,000 scholarship that you see listed here, but if you fill out the scholarship application and we see that you're top of your class and you're really involved in different clubs and organizations and you've gotten some awards or whatever that might be, and we see that you're a really well-rounded student, but maybe your test scores just don't reflect that, we might be able to offer you more money with those other type of scholarships from that scholarship application. So no matter what, no matter if you have a perfect test score, I still recommend filling out the scholarship application, because we're going to consider all of that information in total and give you the scholarship that is going to be most beneficial for you. And one thing to note, if you do qualify for one of these automatic merit awards, They are not stacked with the competitive merit awards, but again, we're going to award you with the scholarship that's going to give you the most money. Okay, and here you can kind of see a breakdown for our cost of attendance, everything as far as room and board, meal plan, all of that type of stuff. Just know we are required to report the most expensive outcome. So this housing and everything is the most expensive residence hall is reported. So this could look a little bit different depending on your situation. And here are some important dates and deadlines for you to remember. So October 1st is when the FAFSA application opens up. So that is right around the corner, just a few days from now. You can start filling out the FAFSA. And I would recommend filling out the FAFSA again sooner rather than later. That is always my best advice because federal funds can run out or they can decrease as time goes on. So make sure you fill out that FAFSA as soon as you're able to. And that's something that you will fill out no matter if you're going to Alabama or anywhere else. That's something that you can use for any institution that you choose to attend. So it's really important that you fill that out, even if you're kind of unsure about coming to Alabama. And then again, January 15th is when our scholarship application is due. Remember, try to apply by January 1st at the very latest in order to have time to be admitted and then fill out the scholarship application. But again, sooner rather than later, I cannot say that enough. And right around March 1st is when you will receive your total financial aid package from us. So that will include any and all scholarships that you might have qualified for, as well as any federal funds that will come from the FAFSA. For scholarship consideration, if you have any updated test scores, you need to get those to us by February of your senior year. That's for scholarship. But for any type of admission criteria, May 1st is the ultimate and final deadline for your test scores.
All right, and I will talk a little bit about coming down to visit us in Tuscaloosa. We have opened our campus back up for campus visitors. With COVID-19, we are offering limited spots in campus tours, and right now they are posted on our website through November 20th. And so if it is something that you would like to consider, I do highly encourage that you go online and make a reservation as soon as you can. We are setting strict guest limits with COVID, and we will have you fill out a waiver, but we would love to have you come down and visit. I know with families from North Carolina heading down, I always like to know if you're going down. I'd love to make restaurant recommendations or hotel recommendations for you. So reach out to us if you do plan to go down for a visit. I know I'm based in the Raleigh area, so I'm probably the furthest away from Tuscaloosa. It's about a 10-hour drive. And I always like to say that's 2 meals away. So even though 10 hours seems like a far time when you hear it, you can't be home for breakfast, you can't be home for lunch, but you can be home for a late dinner. And like we've said earlier, we do send a host of students down, but we have resumed campus tours. In addition, we also have a lot of virtual options to learn more about our school as well. So you can meet with us one-on-one if you'd like to discuss your application or what interests you. You also can meet with some of our academic departments virtually. So consider that as well. I know a lot of students will ask, can they fly down? The closest airport is Birmingham. So if you're looking to fly, you can fly to Birmingham. That's still an hour's drive. But yeah, we would love to have you come down and take a tour of campus. I'd also want to put our contact information back up on the screen for you all. Again, we would love to hear from you if you have personal questions, or even if you don't, if you just want to connect with us and learn more. We would love to know your story and why you're considering UA and help you get more connected to us as well. And at this time, we would like to open the floor for any questions that you all have for us as well. And I believe we have a question. Let's see, a barcode. I don't know what you guys do with a barcode that they have received. Great question. I think that if you are interested in Alabama, I would go ahead and reach out to your recruiter based upon the territory. Send us an email so we can get you added to the mailing list. And that way we can also send you an electronic copy of our view book as well. Any other questions coming up?
Rachel, I've got one. Someone asked, what is the food like on campus?
Yeah. So let's see. My favorite place to eat is lakeside dining. And I think we can all kind of answer and share on this one. But Lakeside was remodeled, 2 years ago. And I know I have a good friend who has a gluten allergy. And so they like to go to the glutinous minimus. I almost said Maximus, but that would be terrible if you had a gluten allergy. But yeah, I like lakeside dining, a great little place there. And then, of course, I love the Ferguson Center. It's like a food court atmosphere, and it has a Chick-fil-A and a Starbucks in there. And really, you can't go wrong with Chick-fil-A and Starbucks, in my opinion. But what do you guys want to say about food? And that's campus food. Now, if you're talking about Tuscaloosa, y'all know I could write a book about that.
On campus, I like the dining halls as well. It's most convenient when I'm there for training, but there's such a wide variety of things that you can eat. And I have a weakness for chocolate milk. So if you sat with me before, during one of those quick lunches, I love to go back and forth and get some chocolate milk to treat myself.
Yes, I think we can all agree there's some great dining options on campus. You'll just have to come visit, find out for yourself. So we've got a couple more questions that came through. Someone is asking about their delayed test scores. They said, I've had my test canceled and delayed multiple times. What would you recommend on when to submit? And should I do it before or after I take my test? I'll go ahead and say that you are not alone. Almost every other student in the country is going through that same thing right now. So we're very well aware that this is an issue. So we do have a conditional acceptance program this year where you can apply without test scores. So basically you'll just fill out the application as normal. And there is a question towards the end that'll ask, would you like to apply without test scores? You are welcome to check that box. If you are not planning on submitting any test scores, we will just look at your GPA to start with, and we can conditionally admit you. So what that means is you're admitted to the university, you will ultimately have to submit test scores, but you'll have until May 1st to submit those test scores. If you know you have a test scheduled and you want to still go ahead and apply, but you know you're going to send us those scores, you can apply now and just send us the scores when you get them. Don't feel like you need to wait to submit your application before you send your scores. Let's see. Someone asked, I'm interested in pre-pharmacy. What major would I choose?
What I would recommend is from the university homepage, type in pre-pharmacy, or if a student's interested in medical school, type pre-medical, whatever pre-professional program a student's interested in. UA does not have a pharmacy school on campus, so students who really want to go to Alabama have two choices. They can begin their educational experience at Alabama and then apply to pharmacy schools that may be in other states. There are two other universities that have pharmacy schools in Alabama, and the student could transfer away. Another option, which would take an extra year of education, would be, and I had a friend who did this when he was in college, graduate from the university with a bachelor's degree and then apply to a pharmacy school again, back in your home state or one of the two that are in Alabama. And by going to our pre-health website and looking at the information specifically for aspiring pharmacists, you can look at the prerequisite courses that are required for students, but chemistry is typically the best fit because just the number of chemistry courses that are required to then start taking those graduate level courses toward the doctorate in pharmacy. That's what I would recommend.
I just saw a question come in as to whether or not we have a Formula SAE race team. And yes, we do. And so that's within our College of Engineering. That is an extracurricular within there. So that is exciting. We do a lot in the auto industry in our College of Engineering. So we are 20 minutes down the road from the US plant for Mercedes-Benz. So we work a lot with them. We also have Toyota and Honda in the state of Alabama as well. And we're one of 16 schools in the country that is participating in the Chevy Eco Car Challenge, which is a 4-year project. We finished our first round, which was with a Chevy Camaro, and now we're on the second round, which is with a self-driving Chevy SUV. So there's a lot of stuff going on, but yes, we do have that Formula SAE race team.
We got another question. Is the GPA requirement the same for student athletes? So if you are going to be a student athlete at Alabama, you still have to apply to the university just like everybody else. And we still hold you to an academic standard that we do all other students applying.
I also saw an early college question coming in. And it talks about, I believe, UA early college. And so I would just tell you, like Chelsea said earlier, I would apply now. I wouldn't wait. Just go ahead and apply now and reach out to whoever your recruiter is, and we can get working with you. Earlier is always better. And that way we can get things rolling so you can have access to the scholarship application. If you're interested in the honors college, access to that as well. But I definitely think that earlier is better.
All right, we got another question asking about our equestrian club. Could you talk a little bit about that? Does anybody have anything to say about that? I personally don't know a whole lot about it, so.
Yeah, I have not had any students from my territory go down for equestrian. I do know that we have therapy horses and a therapy program going on over there. And I do know that we have an equestrian program and they have a website, but I don't have any personal experience from my territory. Russell or Taylor, do you guys have any experience from your territory?
I have not. Now, I've had a few students who've asked in the past, but I have not worked closely with anyone visiting campus who was going to meet with them.
I have the link for the equestrian programs at UA, so I will respond directly to the student who asked that question so you can learn more about it.
I see a football ticket question. Will we have spectators? Yes, we will. We are hosting our first home game this Saturday, and I believe we are having 20,000 spectators. And what is that, 1/5 of our capacity? So we do have one of the 10 largest football stadiums in the country on campus. I do know from my territory, just by happenstance, that 2 of my students do have tickets for this Saturday's game. One is a junior and one is a freshman. So I even have a freshman going to the game this year. There is a student opt-in process for tickets. Now, I don't know how the general public is going about getting tickets, but I do know that there is a student process for getting them this year. I don't know if anyone else wants to add anything that they know, but that's my experience. I also see a military dependent question. We are a very military friendly school. When you apply, if either of your parents are current or former military members, we will waive your application fee. We just need you to send us a copy of current military orders or a DD-214 form when you apply, and you can send those to your recruiter. Just use the email address on the screen. And then when you do that, that'll notify us to get you in contact with our Office of Veteran and Military Affairs. We are a fully funded Yellow Ribbon Program school, and we also work well with GI Bill. Usually, and I have a lot of military bases in my territory, so usually what I'll do is I'll get you connected with that office, and they'll start working with you and your family through your military benefits, because that looks different for every single family. But yes, there usually is some benefits for you through that process. So thank you for bringing that up. And thank you all for your service to our country, to your families as well.
Right. Thank you for bringing up the fee waiver through the DD-214, Rachel, because I forgot to mention that earlier. And if the student or their parents just want to do a keyword search on the UA homepage, through the search engine, just type in Veteran Affairs or Veteran and Military Affairs, and it will explain some more details of what Rachel was discussing.
I know a fun way to kind of close these panels sometimes is just for us each to share something that we love about the University of Alabama. So I know I'm throwing you all on the spot, but Taylor, you're good with being thrown on the spot. So I'm going to start with you. But what's something that you love or something you think that you'd like to share?
Yeah, so I didn't actually go to Alabama for undergraduate degree, so I, don't have that student experience. But one thing that holds true to me and why I love working for the university is that, when I first walked onto campus, I was like, this place is massive. I'm never going to remember any of the buildings. But within 24 hours, I was seeing familiar faces of people kind of walking to and from campus. So not only does it really feel like a tight-knit community, but the school spirit, I was voted most spirited in high school, and I live for the pride. So it's just really fun knowing that even though I didn't go to Alabama for college, like even if you don't even attend football games, the school pride and the camaraderie is so, so wonderful. So that's one of my favorite things about UA.
I'll put myself on the spot since I threw this at y'all. But one of my favorite things about Alabama is I think that it's the best of both worlds in so many aspects. I think it's a large school, obviously, and it can give you all the benefits of a large school. So many majors, such a great network when you're out there for jobs and internship opportunities. The spirit in every city you go to across the nation, there's an alumni group you can connect with for a game watch party. So you already have like this instant home base. So it gives you all these things, but there's also a lot of ways to make it feel smaller. So even here in Raleigh, we have that local alumni group that supports our students and supports our families. 80% of classes have 50 or fewer students. A lot of honors classes are capped at 20 students. So I think that you can make this large school feel small, but you can't make a small school feel big. And so I think that's one of my favorite things. That, and I also think that there are a lot of people that can find a home at UA. Chelsea or Russell?
I agree, Rachel. There is a special sense of warmth and hospitality and helpfulness that I have not experienced at any other university where I've worked, or even my alma mater. It's been a great place to work, and it's an outstanding place where a lot of undergraduates who need a little more guidance can really thrive.
And I will close out by saying I agree with everything everyone just said. We are out of time, but please feel free to reach out to all of us. We're happy to help you out with any of your questions, and roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
All right, thank you for joining us this evening. After closing your window, you should see a 4-question survey, and it would be valuable feedback for both CACRAO and StriveScan if you were to complete that item. We encourage you to sign up for more sessions that can be found on CACRAO's website at cacrao.org, and a recording will be made available of this session after it has concluded. Take care and have a wonderful night.